Hey pilots, welcome to another brand new video. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use the LANCEPILOT API. So first, let's view the documentation. To find the API documentation, we will go to the settings page. From here, the API tokens section and the API documentation. Now, this is the API documentation of LANCEPILOT, and you can find all the API endpoints right here. Now, to use the API, we need an API token. And to create your own token, we will go back to the settings page of LANCEPILOT. From there, the API tokens section, and generate a new key or token. We need to give it a name, main, and generate. Now we have generated a API token, and now we can use this token to actually access our API or make requests to our API endpoints. So let's go back to the API documentation, and I will run in Postman. So I have already installed Postman, and I'm going to use it to actually show you how can you make requests. Now you can find a endpoint called check API status. So let's view it. And for this endpoint, you actually don't need any authorization or authentication. So this route is only for testing so that you can check if the API is up and running. So if I just make this request by clicking send, as you can see, we have a success response of 200. We have the status here as well. No data was sent, and the message is welcome to LANCEPILOT API. All right, so our API is running correctly. Now we will use our token to make another test request. So we will go back to our settings, copy the API token, and then open our Postman, then go to the account folder, and here you will find a endpoint called account details. So this endpoint allows you to pull all the information of your account or your registered account of LANCEPILOT. So we will go to the authorization tab, and we will use bearer token. Here we will paste our token or add our token, and we will also go to the headers and make sure you have this header where it is accept and application JSON. So you need this header to receive proper JSON responses. Now if we send the request, so we got a 200 success response with a data field where we have the actual data. So for example, the ID of my account, the type of my account. So this is actually the type of the resource. So you're going to be sent many different types of data. So for example, this data is actually of a type user, meaning it is a user data that has been sent. For example, you retrieve contacts, then this type will become contact. So this is just a identifier for you to understand what resource are you getting. So now you can use this API token to access all the API endpoints and perform different actions. All right, now let's talk about webhooks. So to use webhooks, we can go to the webhook section that is under the API token section. And on this webhook section, you can add multiple webhooks. You can choose to turn on or off the webhook by toggling the status field. And you can also add different events to this webhook. So for example, for now, we only have one event called the message status changed, meaning every single time a message's status is changed, you will be notified to the webhook URL that you add. So I already have added a test webhook URL, and I'm using a free webhook tester tool. And this is my webhook URL. So if you go to that tool that I was talking about, this is the tool that I was using to test the webhooks. And you can see I have received an event here. So if I click that, or it is actually selected, so you can see this data was actually sent to this URL. So we have the event here, and it will give you the event that has been triggered, and it will give you the data that is supposed to send you. For example, because we have added this event message status changed, it fired off this event because there was a change in a message's status. So if you go back here, if you look at the data, we have the message ID, we have the resource type, which is message, and we have the status called processing, which means the status was changed from pending to processing. That's why we have received this event with this data. So I hope that is clear, and that was all for this video. I hope this video will help you get started with API and webhooks. Thank you very much for watching this video.